Picture this. It's Thanksgiving dinner. You've been good all day. Maybe you skipped breakfast, maybe even skip lunch. Maybe you did a little extra workout, like went harder to burn some extra calories. And now you're sitting at the table and your mind's racing. Should I eat that? How much is too much? If I eat the stuffing, can I have the pie? Everyone's freaking watching. Like, I don't want them to think that I'm being too strict, being too healthy, but I also don't want to ruin my progress. You know what? Forget it. I'll just eat whatever the hell I want. I'm just going to restart on Monday. If that sounds familiar, you're going to love today's episode. Welcome back to the Gen Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Coach D, and today we're going to be tackling the thing that I know is on everyone's mind right now. Like, how the hell am I actually going to enjoy the holiday foods without spiraling into guilt, regret, or a week-long free-for-all? Because here's what I'm actually seeing, and I see it year after year and time again. You either will restrict all freaking day and then binge and eat everything on site come dinner, or you go in with this mentality of like, well, just screw it. I'll just, you know what, for November and December, I'm just going to eat whatever the hell I want. I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to ball out, you know? It's a whole free for all. Let's all get out of jail free card. And neither of those options feel good today. You already know this. So on today's podcast, we're going to be looking for another alternative option for you. Because if you're doing either or both at the same time, I want you to understand that there is an alternative option where you can actually enjoy the food, be present with your family, and wake up the next day feeling better and not filled with regret. Okay. And on that same note, also coming from a place where you don't necessarily need to feel like you have to punish yourself for the food that you ate. Like, this is what I consider the compensatory type of like mindset, right? Like, if you ate bad or like ate too much, then you have to go make it up at the gym or make it up the next day by starvation. So without jumping the gun too much, I'll be diving into that in a little bit here. If you listened to my last episode about the holiday mindset, today is going to be more about like the practical application. I'm going to be focusing more so on Thanksgiving, but obviously this can also be applied towards other holiday festivities that you might celebrate. Okay. So if you haven't gone in to listen to that last episode I did, go back and listen because it'll set you up perfectly for what we're covering today, because that episode was tackling a lot of the mindset pieces. And so when we go into today, we're just going to get down to the nitty gritty. So without further ado, let's freaking dive in. First things first, I want to address some of the common problems that I see when it comes to the holiday season. And that is point number one, which I already alluded to earlier. It's the restriction binge cycle. What this means is like, and I'm sure you've done it before because I've done it before too when I didn't know any better. I would try to save my calories for like the big meal. Now, before we get into too deep, I want to let you know that a lot of my clients do well with this approach. And I can do this, but it wasn't always like that. It took time for me to build those habits in the same way that my clients also have to build the habits and the foundational nutritional habits and mindset pieces to allow them to be able to save the calories and not binge come whenever it's time to eat already. Okay. I know it's possible, but it does take a lot of work. Okay. If you don't have the foundational like nutrition habits, like you're not practicing them, you're not aware of what they are, or you don't really, haven't truly like mastered it hasn't felt like it's a default for you, it can be more challenging, which means you have to rely a little bit more on willpower alone to be able to not scarf your face down with all the freaking food when you're ravenous and hungry. Okay. So just a little tidbit. I don't want you to walk away from this and think that, oh, I've done that before where I like didn't like, I just, fasted the entire morning just to save most of my calories for the rest of the day. And for a lot of people that works, but there's also a lot of people where that backfires. And what I want to tackle today is the backfire part of it, because it happens more often than not. So with that being said, one of the things that you may catch yourself doing is, like I said, like saving your calories for the big meal. You might even skip your breakfast, potentially like lunch, and even do extra workout, like going harder. And by the time you sit down, you're ravenous. You're freaking starving. Which then leads to you eating way past satisfaction, way past the fullness, because you've been physically like depriving yourself the entire day and telling yourself, somehow convincing yourself that this is my only chance to get this meal. And then while you're eating, even after you're eating, you start to feel that sense of guilt, that sense of shame for what you're eating, for eating way too much. However, that transpires throughout the day, you know the feeling. You know exactly. You can think of a time or a few times where that has happened to you, where you eat the plate of food and you're like, oh, fuck. And it's too late. You can't go back. Like you already ate it. You already feel stuffed and full to the rim. Like you weren't even necessarily like enjoying the food too much. Like you were just eating everything on sight to a point that you were just like, oh my God, I need to unbuckle my pants, unbuckle my jeans, my buttons. I need to unzip my pants. I need to breathe, you know? And the most damaging thing about that too is because of how you feel about that decisions that you made and the choices that you made around that time where you were eating, like around the meals, the next day you might restrict even more so to kind of make up for it, to compensate for binging at dinner time. And that's, I want you to know that before you even go there, I don't want you to feel bad for how it went down. I'm bringing this up only to bring it to your awareness. If you have experienced that before and there's a chance that you might pull the same shit this holiday season, this is your chance to pause and reflect and then start thinking about what could be different this time around, because you still have a chance to change what could go down this time of the year. Okay. So again, just to reiterate, like I need you to understand that when you restrict, oftentimes than not, your body just don't give a damn that you were saving room for Thanksgiving. It is on starvation mode. It just wants food. It's hungry. It's ravenous. It just needs to eat. You know what I mean? The next issue that I see is this whole food morality thing. What I mean by that is labeling food as good or bad, depending on what they are. And a lot of times the holiday foods fall in the bad bucket. Like it's indulgent, it's junk, it's this, it's that, whatever. And beyond just the label, too, is the fact that when you eat, quote unquote, the good or the bad food, you inherently make it mean something about your character. For example, if I eat junk, if I eat the freaking pumpkin pie, if I ate this, then I'm bad because I ate the junk. That is just another diet culture bullshit that's keeping you stuck and having you believe, treating you like boo boo the fool because for some reason you're not allowed to eat junk food. Like what happened to being able to enjoy all types of food in moderation, whether good or bad? And just because little Miss Sally Sue is over here having like dry ass chicken breast with some salad, girl, doesn't mean that she's any better. You think she's better than you just because she's eating salad? You don't even know what's happening behind closed doors. Like a lot of times, and this is just a tangent here. Like who you think is out here portraying like a healthy lifestyle, they're eating healthy, they be drinking a lot. And this is what I don't understand about some of the influencers I see online. It's like, oh my God, clean eating. And then couple freaking stories later, they're drinking a lot. Bitch, what the fuck you mean clean eating? And you're drinking it. Oh, you draw the line when it comes to alcohol. Like, oh, clean everything, clean eating, clean products. But you know what? When it comes to alcohol, moderation. But God forbid you eat pumpkin pie or you eat some type of junk. You eat some unclean food or not necessarily the cleanest, healthiest food. And suddenly you can't apply the same moderation freaking approach to it and moderation thinking towards it. So all of a sudden you're a bad person for having quote unquote junk food. But no, but it's okay if I drink though, because that's just part of it. It's moderation, it's balance. Oh, so keep that same fucking energy then when it comes to junk food, when it comes to, indulgent ass food, whatever the hell. Like anyways, this shit pissed me though. I'm like, what the fuck? I swear to God, okay. Let me just rant for a second. That is the one thing I can't stand about just the hypocrisy. It's just like, what the hell you mean? Freaking over here promoting clean eating, clean lifestyle, and you be drinking. Like you're putting poison in your body and that's supposed to be okay? Like somehow that's not frowned upon, but eating junk food, eating your like other people's cultural food that you have no fucking idea what it is, and you just like, I don't know what it is. It looks unhealthy. Like, oh my God, girl, get a grip. Anyways, besides all of that, as you can see, real freaking passionate about it because I just can't stand this damn thing. I need people to stop with the BS. If you just once you see it, you can't unsee it. Just look at everybody selling you this BS that they're healthy. It's always the one where like, oh my God, I have such a healthy salad. Salad be like 1,000 calories. You might as well just eat the burger, girl. Girl, please. Anyways, nothing wrong with salad. If you love salads, I love salad too. You already know I ain't talking about you. It's always the people who be acting like this shit don't stink. You know what I mean? So if you are worried about quote unquote eating, you know what I mean, your culture of food, or the, just the pie, the cookies, the whatever. You're worried about it, meaning anything about you, like you being a bad person for indulging or having, like, having a slice or having two slices, just enjoying the food. Like, guess what? No, ain't nothing wrong with you. You get to enjoy it. It doesn't make you a bad person. Okay. Your food is meant to be ate and it's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to connect. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that, like, if you catch yourself labeling food as good or bad, and more importantly, if you notice that you're labeling yourself as either good or bad based on the food that you're eating, just keep yourself in check with that. Because that right there, it seems inconsequential, but it actually can mess with your head and mess with the decisions that you make. And for a lot of my clients, we work on healing our relationship with our body and our food. One place that we start with is making sure that we're not labeling ourselves as this or that based on the food that we're eating. Okay. We're allowed to eat all and everything, and it doesn't mean anything about our character. You get me? You get me. Cool, cool, cool. This next part is something that isn't super obvious, but I'm gonna bring it up because I want you to be aware of whether or not you're doing this or have done this. This is just about us expanding our knowledge and awareness about what things that we do, or even sometimes, like, you might catch certain people doing this. Okay. So this is what we're just going to call this, like, the performative eating. You're like, what the hell is performative eating? The performative eating is where you're hyper aware of what other people think about your food choices. Maybe it's the comments that comes from your family and friends. Like, are you sure you want seconds? Like, wow, you eating all that? Damn. Like, like, so instead of actually just eating for you, you start performing, quote unquote, your choices. Okay. Sometimes that looks like performing restriction, saying things like, oh, I shouldn't. I'm good. I'm being good today. I'm on a diet. Other times it's performing indulgence, like, I'm being so bad, but whatever. Neither version is actually even you, because in both cases, you're not even eating based on what you genuinely actually want. You're eating based on how you want to be perceived. And in some ways, when you do this or catch yourself doing this, you're not really being present. Chances are you're not actually enjoying the food or even the moment. It becomes about something else entirely. Yeah. This is a sneaky one. Not a lot of people notice that this is happening, but this is just how we, in some ways, navigate social dynamics or family dynamics. And if it happens to you, totally fine. So again, this performative eating, and what it really means is that this is when your eating becomes more of a social performance instead of a personal experience, because you're no longer tuning into your own hunger, your own cravings and satisfaction cues. You're more tuned in and focused on how other people might interpret what you're eating. So your choices and even the language and the things that you say around food starts to shift based on who the hell is paying attention and who's watching you. Just wanted to iterate, like, that the two common performative eating that we see is performative restriction, and this is the one where you feel the pressure to appear disciplined, healthy, or in control. And it can also sometimes sound like, oh no, I can't have that. Like, I'm being very good today. I'm just gonna have this. I'm just gonna have this. I'm trying to behave. This is coming from wanting approval and or fear of judgment. Like, you want others to see you as someone who has it all together and not someone who lacks discipline or willpower. Okay. Then the performative indulgence, this one's a lot sneakier. Okay. Because it's when you feel the need to justify or apologize for enjoying your food. It's almost like when someone be saying stuff, I'm just be like, who are you trying to convince? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you saying all this shit. Like, I ain't even tripping off of it, but like, you saying all of this, but like, who the hell are you trying to convince? Like, someone will be like, I'm being so bad, but like, it's fine. I deserve this. And I'm like, okay, girl. Or this is my cheat day. Or even like laughing off situations, circumstances, so that other people won't judge you for the choices that you're making. In a way, as a defense mechanism. Okay. You see it, right? Like, you're trying to get ahead of the judgment by making a joke about it first. So instead of just enjoying the food, you label it as bad or naughty so you can feel safe doing it, because it's just like, bring levity to the situation, and all of a sudden that solves your problem. Here's the real problem with this. Whether you're doing one or the other, or in a way have done both, it disconnects you from yourself, because you're making choices purely for social comfort, not personal alignment. And when you eat food from that place, it's really hard to experience satisfaction because this is not even about food anymore. And it leaves you after eating the meal feeling proud but deprived. It might sound like, oh, at least I was good. At least I was eating healthy. At least I was eating clean. Or you might feel guilty but defiant or rebellious. Like, whatever. I already messed up anyways. And neither one of those feels good in the long term. And you know this because it doesn't support a more intuitive, peaceful relationship with food. Okay. Some of the alternatives that I would suggest for you when it comes to being more present with your food and the choices that you're making is asking yourself, like, what the hell do I even want right now? What do I actually want right now? How do I want to feel after I eat this? You can even ask yourself, can I let myself just be here, enjoying this meal without the commentary from my own inner critic? Because I feel like when you do that, eating becomes less about managing perceptions and more about honoring the connection that you have to your body, to your hunger, your joy, and the moment that you're in the celebration. So, next, we're going to talk about some reframes, okay? Because I feel like we just have to have a different way of thinking about the holiday meals or holiday foods, okay? First things first, I need you to give yourself permission just to be a normal human being, okay? I will keep saying this to the day I die. You don't need to earn your food through exercise. You don't need to compensate for overeating. You're allowed to eat the food you enjoy, and it will not ruin your freaking progress just because you spent one day overeating. Okay? One meal, one day, one weekend doesn't undo weeks and months of consistency. Now, if you someone that ain't even been consistent the last couple of months or the last couple of weeks, well, I mean, this ain't the podcast for you right now. This is not gonna apply to you. But this is for the girlies who are being consistent and are anxious and worried about falling off the wagon and ruining their progress. But it's like it's one freaking day. You know what I tell my clients all the time? Even if you were to mess it up that day, you overeat everything on site and you didn't work out, you skipped your workout, you just was indulgent the entire time, like overindulging. Okay, and let that be the only day that you quote unquote messed up. The next day, get your shit together. Like, what are you gonna do the next day? Are you gonna continue starving yourself and then making yourself super freaking hungry that by the time you sit down at lunch or dinner, you're gonna eat everything? Are you gonna continue skipping your workout because somehow, you know what, you messed up so bad that nothing is gonna undo it? Nothing is gonna make sense? No, you bounce back the next day and just return to your regular scheduled programming. Okay, you get your workout in, you get your steps, you eat your food, like knock it off with all of this like shame and guilt. Because you know what? Sometimes it's not even coming from anyone else. Sometimes it's coming from deep within. It's our own inner critic talking about you effed up. It's like this mindset too of like, well, you already screwed it up. You might as well screw everything up for the rest of the weekend. Well, you screwed it up. So, what's another day? Let's just add to it. No, it doesn't need to snowball into a couple days. If you messed up one day, let that be it. Move the hell on. Okay? I don't want to hear it. I was so bad. Okay. And you're allowed to be bad one day then. If it was a pattern and you do this all the time, that's a different conversation. All right? Cool. But again, what I'm trying to get at is like, you just cannot allow the stress and anxiety and the guilt carry over and do more damage the next day, the following day, the couple days after. You just can't. You cannot let it like snowball into a whole week of a free for all just because you messed up one time. That's like that analogy that they talk about. Like when you get a flat tire, you don't get off the car and slash the rest of the other three. I got a flat tire. I might as well shake the rest of them. Like, no, like, hear me loud and clear. You are allowed to enjoy festivities and holidays and eat whatever you want. Okay, you're allowed to eat the quote unquote things you ain't supposed to. Just enjoy it, full stop. Like, what the freaking hell? Okay. Anyways, next, let's talk about the distinction between restriction and intention because I'm sure you already know, but just in case you're unsure, restriction is about having external rules and oftentimes they're very freaking rigid and unrealistic as hell and not feasible whatsoever. They are all about depriving you and is riddled with a whole lot of shoulds. Okay. Intention, on the other hand, it's more of an internal guidance. This is where you tap in and tune into yourself about the choices that you want to make when you have the awareness that you have. Okay. Restriction often sounds like asking yourself, am I allowed to eat this? The only thing you're not allowed to eat are the things you're allergic to or have an aversion to. Now, intentions, on the other hand, is asking, do I really even want this? It's asking, how much do I want? A little slice, a little bite, two scoops, whatever, maybe one cookie, two cookie, whatever. Like, what actually sounds good to me? Because promise you, you can be intentional without being restrictive. It just requires you to tune in, not to check out from yourself or from your. Another example is restriction can be like, okay, I can only have one serving and I can't have any dessert. Intention sounds like, what actually sounds good to me right now? Like, what do I want to enjoy? And how much feels satisfying without being uncomfortable? Like, I don't want to be I don't want to be too overstuffed. It's like getting clear on what it is that you want, but also allowing yourself to enjoy and just letting yourself determine what that looks like for you and trusting that you're going to make the best decision for yourself in that moment. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to touch on a free frame in terms of like abundance versus scarcity mindset when it comes to food. When you tell yourself and convince yourself that I can never have this or like this is my only chance, you're creating scarcity. And that's going to drive overeating because you're over here, your brain is thinking that there'll never be another opportunity. What the hell are you talking about? Like, here's the thing. For example, pumpkin pie. Why? This is the only year you can enjoy it? What stops you from making it on January? What stops you from making it in the summer? Like, is the ingredients not available during that time of the year to a point that you cannot enjoy it? Just something to think about. Like, a lot of times we approach the holiday season like, oh, this is the only time I'm gonna be able to have this. And if you stop and ask yourself, is it really though? Because if you can have it any other time, there is no need to be operating from that place. All right. So abundance thinking is more of like, I can have this anytime I want it, actually. These sugar cookies, I can make this anytime. I don't gotta eat all of this right the hell now, you know? So just know that when you know that you can have something whenever you want, the urgency disappears. Now, obviously, there are going to be some seasonal things that you obviously will only be able to enjoy this time of the year. Prioritize that if that's what's important to you, if that's what you want to enjoy. This is not about creating rigid ass rules. It's just checking yourself to see if you're creating scarcity around something where there doesn't need to be any. Okay? This one meal isn't going to be your last chance. And the irony is, though, when you stop restricting foods and making them like forbidden, it's often natural to actually want them less because when you remove the deprivation and the restriction, there's just sometimes like the desire for it just becomes a lot less. So work smarter, not harder. So now that you understand, like, okay, give yourself permission, you understand the mindset pieces of it. Like, let's actually talk about some like the more practical stuff of like, what the hell do you actually do at the table? Like, how do I actually navigate the holiday meals? Okay. I'm going to briefly just go over it because I already touched on this earlier. Main strategy is don't show up starving. Okay. You're going to shoot your ass in the foot. That's not going to be good. Okay. Eat normally throughout the day. Even if like you choose to go like protein forward, smaller meals throughout the day, just so you don't show up ravenous as hell. Okay. Do your workout like you normally do. I'm going to be doing a 5K prior. That's what I'm about. Like, it's not going to be intense. It's just going to be an easy peasy lemon squeezy type thing. So boom, I'm just going to, ain't nothing really different about how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be saving my calories for later because I just don't believe I can't go that long. And it's going to be so hard for me to try to catch up on my protein goals in one sitting. Like, I just can't do it. Even if I get seconds, like I get full quick. So I would rather spread it out across the day and feel good and satiated the entire day. So I don't end up killing a nobody. You know what I mean? I don't want to smack and choke anybody during the holiday season. So I must stay fed. But yeah, like I think it's just like being able to show up at the dinner table, like with a normal state of hunger and doing whatever you need to be able to do that. That's going to help you so much. That alone will change everything because the chances are you're going to be making decisions out of intention, not desperation, because you're not in this like starvation mode. You guys know this. You know what I'm talking about. Like, you've ever been so hungry that even the nastiest shit sound good, and then after you eat it, you're like, damn, that wasn't even worth it. That was the driest thing I've ever had, and I just fucking ate all that calories, and for what? Shit wasn't even worth it. So yeah, but when you're starving. Pile of shit, it sounds so good. Oh my God, I'm on one today, cracking myself up. Anyways, next strategy is to just make sure that you're checking in with yourself during a meal. This can be taking a break halfway through and just pausing. Ask yourself, am I still hungry? Or do I feel a little bit more satisfied? Do I even want to keep going? Or should I just take a sip of water right now and walk around and distract myself a little bit and come back to this plate if I still want to eat later on? Okay. This isn't necessarily about like stopping when you're supposed to. It's about staying connected to your body and not scarfing down. So this is for my, clean your plate club, me, former president and club member of the clean your plate club. This is not about that. Like, it's not about eating everything on site. It's just slowing down and actually enjoying and chewing your freaking food. Like, you've been looking forward to this all freaking year. Like, give yourself a chance to enjoy it. I would be remiss if I don't bring up the fact that sometimes it's also okay if you choose to eat past your satisfaction. It's okay. The goal is not to be completely perfect and change everything. The goal is just awareness and choosing differently from how you used to operate. This is the whole reason why I bring this up, because I'm not expecting you to completely do a 180 and change everything on how you hold yourself and carry yourself during the holiday season. No, it's not that. It's just actually slowing down enough to pay attention to like how you go about it, what you do, all like what you're going through. So yeah, if you would rather stay out of touch with yourself, fine, whatever. But if you would rather not do that, that's also okay too. It is just an invitation to lean into it, but you don't have to. I never want you to feel like I'm forcing you to do something you don't want to do. Like, at the end of the day, nobody can even make you do anything you don't want to do. So, nonetheless, the next thing I want you to focus on is just making sure that you prioritize the food that you actually want. Don't waste it on foods you don't even like, okay? Dry ass turkey, skip. The stuffing you love, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, choose the food based on enjoyment, not obligation. Now, this can be really tough sometimes because some people will make you feel like you're obligated to eat the food that you don't want. And at that point, you need to finesse. You need to find a way to finesse and be slick about it. Because if you feel obligated to eat certain foods when you don't really like them, you got to find a way to finesse it, man. I don't know, because it's different depending on who it is. I know in different cultures, like, it's hard to say no to certain people. You got to finesse it somehow. You got to finesse it. Okay? Pick and choose your battles, whatever. Do whatever you need to do. All right? But, anyways, you don't have to try everything and you don't have to try to please everybody. All right. Also, this is going to sound weird, but like, give yourself permission to go back for more. If you want seconds, have at it. If you want more desserts, if you want to have dessert, have dessert. You don't need to pile your plate high the first time you go around, okay? Just because you're afraid that you shouldn't be going back for seconds. No, get whatever you want, enjoy the first plate, and if you need to get seconds, get seconds. It goes back to like when you know that you can have more, you often don't need as much. That's an example of an abundance mindset in action. Okay. This last strategy is the most important strategy that I'm ever going to bring up in this episode. And that is the next day matters just as much. This is where I see a lot of people screw it up. The next day could feel riddled with guilt and shame and maybe even hungover. Okay. So their approach is to restrict even more, nothing different from what they did the day before, and overexercise. Like I said, nothing different. That is going to perpetuate the same freaking cycle that's going to keep you stuck for days, for weeks. And next thing you know, you're like, I don't know, I just completely fell off the wagon the entire month, the entire, like, December, November, December, all of the bursts. Okay. What I need you to do instead is eat normally the next day. No need to detox. Your body will literally do it naturally for you. Just drink your water, hydrate, get some electrolytes, have a protein forward meal, some vegetables, make sure you have some fiber in there, some healthy fats, get into your workout and just go in and do it normal. Don't try to overdo and doing the effing most because you somehow need to make up by burning extra calories. They don't even cancel each other out. Stop. Okay? Because in doing this work and approaching the next day this way, this is when you prove to yourself that you don't have to earn your calories or burn your calories because you overindulge. That is how you start breaking the cycle. And it might feel very unfamiliar, very scary, very, I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, you ask any of my clients, it's possible, it's crazy, and it's beautiful how that practicing that carries over to like vacations, even other like celebrations and festivities and parties. Instead of being like, because you can't control you can't fully control how often you're going to be celebrating or having parties or get-togethers throughout the year. But if that's always going to freaking throw a wrench in your plan, and it screws you up and you're just noticing that pattern, just know that that isn't the only way forward. There's an alternative for you where one day is not going to derail you for a couple of days and it's not going to snowball into a free for all the rest of the week, you know? So, yeah, I hope you give this episode a re listen and the previous one too, the previous episode, because there's so much to learn here. And a lot of it comes down to you being able to self reflect on your own behaviors and what you do and your own patterns. If you ever need help and support with that, just message me on Instagram, or you can click the link in my show notes and book a call as needed. Do your thing, okay? Whatever feels more supportive for you. Next, I want to talk about what happens when it doesn't go as planned. Like, even with the best laid out plan, sometimes it still may not go as planned. Something might throw a wrench on your plans, and that's totally fine. So, what do you do if you overeat and feel uncomfortable? First things first, it's okay. Please forgive yourself. All right. You're only human. If you did the best that you could, all right, fine. All good. It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you need to compensate. All it means is that just notice it and learn from it, because there's always going to be something for you to learn, and just move on. Like I said, the next day, don't let it repeat. Okay? Because one day of messing up is not a crisis. Okay? Speaking of crisis, what if you spiral into guilt anyways, despite your intention, despite what you did, despite how you tried, whatever? I promise you, the guilt you feel is much harder on you than the food you ate. Notice the guilt without judging it. You can ask yourself too, like, what story am I telling myself right now? Then you can challenge it. Did I actually do something wrong? Or did I just eat food? And then have some compassion. Maybe it sounds like I'm learning a new way. And this is freaking hard, but you know what? I'm doing my freaking best. I'm not saying you're not allowed to feel guilt, but don't let guilt be at the driver's seat of your life and the decisions that you make. You already ate the food. There's no going back now, but you can control what you do moving forward. And that means choosing not to allow the guilt or feeling guilt or shame to dictate the rest of the week or the rest of the weekend. Okay? The only question you have to ask yourself at this point, how am I going to talk to myself about it? I'm feeling guilt for the choices that I made and for the food that I already ate, but I already did it. I can't go back. So, how am I going to talk to myself about it? And just trust what comes. Trust what comes. Next is, what if you do treat the whole weekend as a free for all? My only thing with that is that, like, why? Why was that happening? And only you can answer that, because a lot of the contributing factors and forces are invisible when it comes to this stuff. But you have to take accountability for your own contribution to the free for all. Because a lot of times it's easy to say, like, oh, these people, when I get around these people, it's just that's what we do. They're bad influences. Nah, like, okay, cool. All of that can be true, but at the same time, you need to dig into it and figure out why was that happening? Why are we letting ourselves have a free for all when, quote unquote, we know better? Think about, like, were you restricting before? And were you just restricting the whole time? Did you restrict the entire week and you rebelled come the weekend time? Did you have a lower capacity? Are you stressed out? Are you hungover? Are you using food to cope? Is the holidays a really rough and tough time? And so food and drinks and whatever is your way of coping. We're not here to talk about whether it's healthy or not. We're just trying to pinpoint, like, what the hell's going on? Why did we treat the weekend as a free for all when, one, it wasn't what we wanted to do, it wasn't the intention, and didn't plan on it, but that's what happened. And the biggest thing that I would say about this is that going in with curiosity and compassion, not criticism. This is not a time, like, when I ask why is that happening, this is not for you to critique yourself. And oftentimes, majority of time when I talk to my clients about these, when they're going through breakdowns, this is hardly ever about criticizing. There's a time and place for all that, but that is not it. We want to just be curious and compassionate towards that. That is the only way forward. Okay. So again, I'll encourage you, like, if that does happen, understand the why. Try to understand the why behind it, because it'll help you do it differently next time. Like I said, if you're gonna mess up or fuck up or whatever the hell you want to label it as, at the very least, use that as helpful information and data points for doing better next time. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you really truly haven't ruined anything. Truly, none. Pick Monday, pick whatever day, and just get a restart, get a refresh. Stop punishing yourself. Move on from it. Nip it in the bud. Okay? The beautiful thing about that is when you approach messing up or failures this way, you're no longer starting over. You're just picking up where you left off, but just better because now you're more informed about what works and what doesn't work. And that's always going to evolve and change and grow with you. So, again, like there's no such thing as ruined progress unless you quit entirely. But even when you mess up, there's something to learn. It's just about taking the lessons and running with them. Because I promise you, the same lessons will keep repeating itself until you learn them. That is a lot of the reasons why we find ourselves in similar circumstances, situations. It's like, man, this again? This again, when am I ever going to learn? Exactly. That's the golden question. When you going to learn? Universe and God is going to always deliver you. It's always going to sit here put you through the same trials and tribulations until you learn your lessons. Unfortunately, speaking from experience, clearly. Nonetheless, let's just recap what we talked about today, okay? We talked about the restriction binge cycle that's keeping you stuck. This is the whole like, just stop saving your calories for the big meal, especially when you don't have solid foundational nutritional habits that allows you to be able to handle feeling ravenous at dinner time. Okay. Otherwise, you're gonna have to rely on willpower, and the willpower alone just sometimes don't cut it when you're in front of all the temptations. Okay. We also talked about like how food is not a moral issue at all. Food is neither good or bad, and you are not good or bad based on what you eat. Cool. Amazing. Just a reminder to also give yourself permission. That is going to be the most freeing thing. Forget all the strategy. Okay. Just give yourself permission to enjoy the food and move on without all the freaking guilt. Okay. Next, we also talked about like intention over restriction and just being able to like tune into what it is that you actually want, what you actually want the most, not just temporary right now in this moment, but like what do you want even months down the line. We also talked about being able to show up already normally fed when it comes to Thanksgiving dinner or any holiday festivities that you celebrate, and being able to check in with yourself while you're eating and even afterwards to really truly like eat what you actually want. And lastly, we talked about what the hell to do when it doesn't go as you perfectly planned it out to be. Which, by the way, is just practicing self compassion instead of being so damn hard on yourself. You do not need to feel guilty for enjoying holiday meals, okay? You don't even have to white knuckle or willpower your way through it. You certainly don't need to earn or compensate for the food you eat. You just need to show up as a human being and eat and enjoy the food, okay? And the more you practice what we talked about in this episode, like being able to eat with intention, staying connected to your body and what you desire and what you want, and giving yourself permission, I promise you that it's going to get easier because this is hardly about perfection. It is not about perfection at all. It's about building a different relationship with food. One where the holidays don't feel like a freaking threat to your progress. One where you can actually enjoy the holiday foods and feel good about it the next day. Because it's possible. I promise you. And here's what I need you to do. If you found this episode valuable or you had some aha moments or just some light bulb moments, please drop it in the comment section. Or you can slide into my DMs and let me know. I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for tuning in. And just out of curiosity, what is one food you're giving yourself permission to fully enjoy this holiday season, like without the guilt, without compensation, like just pure enjoyment and maybe even indulgence? Like, I want to know. Let me know. Slide in my DMs, leave it in the comments. Like I said, if you found this helpful, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, because I know that this is not something not only one or a few people are struggling with. A lot of people be struggling with this. And so spread the message, spread the word, help a bestie out. Thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Again, thank you so much for listening. You're absolutely freaking amazing. Please remember to be kind to yourself in this season, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.